You're listening to Let's Talk Fantasy Football, where men of fantasy genius have realized, hey guys, we don't need real football skills to dominate on the fantasy field. Yeah. So slap on your pads and grab your helmet. Shit's about to get real.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to another edition of Let's Talk Fantasy Football. I am your host, Nick Schreck, and joining me tonight is my very good friend, Vinny Gonzalez. Vinny, what is up?
What's going on, Schreck? Happy to be here.
Dude, it's the best time of the year. It is fantasy draft season, and as we've already seen, which we'll get into in a minute, things have already gone south for some fantasy football owners.
Yeah, mainly you so far. Big downer on the Andrew Luck news. Happy for the guy. Sad that I won't be able to watch him play football, but good for that dude. Get healthy, get right, be safe.
Man. He did what he thought was best for him, so I give him a lot of credit for taking the leap. But obviously, personally victimized by Andrew Luck. That one hurts a little bit.
It sucks. And then I guess we could talk about in a little bit, like what it's going to do to the other Colts ADPs and where you should take them, or if you already have, what the hell to do with them, like TY, Mack.
Yep, we'll jump into those because there's been some very quick skews in their ADPs and datas from what I've seen just in the past 48 hours with Andrew Luck officially retiring and all that kind of stuff. But guys, before we jump into it again, just make sure you're mock drafting. If you haven't drafted already, start sending in your questions, get them in advance. We get slammed with stuff and there's only so many questions we can get out to you guys. So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you're feeling you want to send a message, you can send it on over and we'll do our best. No promises, but we'll try and get you an answer because it's the best time of the year. We're flying out to San Francisco in just a couple of short days for our fantasy football draft, and we know the excitement's building for all of you, just like it is for us.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be fantastic. But Vinny, let's jump into it and let's shoot the shit, talk some news, talk about all the kind of stuff we're seeing going on, obviously around the league. Lamar Miller goes down with his torn ACL, obviously shakes things up a little bit in Houston from what people expected. Not that he was a top back coming off the board, but plenty of people drafted him and are now down a running back.
Yeah, and they really didn't they're lucky they have Duke Johnson, to be honest.
Yes.
He's their main fucking dude, and they really had no backup plan. Alfred Blue leaves, which is, sad to say that they're going to miss Alfred Blue because that's pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's pathetic. But
I really don't like Alfred Blue, but he was someone they really like to use a lot for whatever reason, and he was their main backup for a while, and he's gone. So Duke Johnson, who just got to the team a couple of weeks ago, is going to be presumably their lead back. They really have no one else.
Yeah. Vinny, we show him going from Saturday. He was a 5th pick in the 8th round in 12-team PPR leagues. He's now going as the 11th pick in the 6th round. And that's as of today, August 26th. So he's up about a round and a half, about call it 16 or 18 picks in the matter of 48 hours. So people are obviously seeing him as the answer, and they're moving him up their boards pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's necessarily going to perform at like a super high level, but he's going pretty much in the Lamar Miller range where it's like everyone was very reluctant to take Lamar Miller, even in like a good setup. He's the lead guy, no questions asked, and everyone's just kind of sketched out by, their offensive line and their play calling. So obviously it's a great value. So if you can still manage to, hopefully get him at a reasonable price. I feel like this is reasonable to get him.
I mean, you're talking about a guy who's guaranteed carries. You know what I mean? Like we're rolling the dice on some of these other people that we don't even know. And you're talking about a guaranteed leader carrying the ball for them. That's huge.
Yeah. And like the thing is, like Duke Johnson's going to catch passes. Maybe, you're not a huge fan or you don't think that Watson is going to check down a lot, but Duke Johnson, that's like his specialty. Mm-hmm. And if the coaches don't use him like that, that's just fucking stupid.
Yep. Well, that's
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like you got to build sort of like your expectation for Duke Johnson. Like you said, he's guaranteed carries. He's also pretty much guaranteed some passing work too. They would just be downright stupid to not do that.
Yeah, I mean, he's currently going 10 picks behind Austin Eckler. He's 5 picks, give or take, behind Tariq Cohen. He's interchangeable with Latavius Murray and Darius Juice, as we like to call him here, going 3 picks later. So within a round of each other, you've got quite a few different backs in different situations there that hold their own separate values. So I think he's priced about right.
Yeah, and I would say all those guys going in that section are there simply because that's how people's teams are being built. And like I feel like you take whatever guy there is going to help your team at that point in the draft.
Yeah.
Like you pick and choose, like the upside or guaranteed work, like we're saying.
Yeah, man. I think it's a lot of people. We talk about it time and time again. How you have to let the draft come to you. You go in with an idea, but you can't overcommit to a strategy going in because you just don't know how it's going to play. Right. And I mean, right. I look at my draft, one of my drafts this past weekend. I was in the 11th spot at a 12 half point PPR, and I went Devontae Adams to start. Super pumped. He
fell
to me at 11. I got Tyreek Hill on the backswing in the second round. And then in round 3, Keenan Allen was sitting on the board, and it's a 3 wide receiver league. So I couldn't say no. I couldn't let him slide any further. So I took him. But then became my running back situation, right?
Right. I'm sure it's not great.
3 wide receivers deep is, back to back to back, put me in a spot. And for round 4, I went David Montgomery as my number 1 running back. My number 2 running back is Austin Eckler. Yikes. As long as Melvin Gordon doesn't show up, I'm okay.
Right.
But that's, that we know nothing. Week 1, he could fucking show up, and I'm either rolling James White, LaShawn McCoy, Royce Freeman, and I got Darwin Thompson all the way down. So
that's not an awful like RB core, to be honest.
A lot of lottery picks. I need some things to work, but again, that I think like plays to what you just talked about, how the running backs are going where they're going, because if you're taking a tight end early or you're stacking your wide receivers, you're going to see people are still in the mentality of running backs rule, and they do, but they start coming off the board so quickly that you get into like panic mode like I did there. And I'm like, I watched Josh Jacobs come off the board, and I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, I don't know who I'm going to have as my – is Austin Eckler going to be my number 1 running back? And obviously –
Pretty close.
Pretty close.
Came close to it.
Very close. But that's how quickly these guys start coming off the board, and all of a sudden all the ADP and research you did is like, well, I need a back. It doesn't really matter anymore what the ADP says. So you start looking kind of at the board, and this is where these values come into play.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
But so obviously, sorry to hear it for Lamar Miller, but Duke Johnson, Fantasy Arrow, obviously pointing up. I'm trying to see what else we got going on. Obviously, Andrew Luck retiring, but we'll save him for a minute. What else went on this weekend, Vin? Anything big you're seeing in ADPs or anything else here?
I've got like a few questions. Like I just had one of my first live drafts. It was with Rogers and Walsh in the Brick League, and it was a lot of fun. I just like the one thing I'm really getting out of the draft is people just keep taking Zeke top 5, and seemingly they're just ignoring the whole situation. Like we didn't learn anything with Bell last year, like at all. Like he should drop down to Melvin Gordon level, and even Melvin Gordon, like in a lot of situations, that dude's off my board as well.
It's so interesting to me because I look at them and Melvin Gordon is now down at the 3rd pick in the 4th round here. And he's just steadily declined day after day, one pick. And it seems like he's bottomed out a little bit here. 4.3, 4.4 seems to be his floor at the moment.
And honestly, I feel like that ADP is a lot of people leaving the draft and getting auto-picked by computers, because in a lot of live drafts, it goes much later, like 6th, hopefully 8th round. But even then, what the hell is that value? What if he sits out 10 games? He's worse than Kareem Hunt. It's a nonsensical pick, dude. Yeah, exactly. And then I could see Zeke doing the same thing. We know less about Zeke than we do about Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon at least seems to be intent on playing at some point, like 8 games in, 10 games in.
And it's weird because you're right. We do know more on Melvin Gordon, but I feel, and I don't have, there's no stats. It's just, it's the as Don refers to it as the gut. The gut check. I feel so much more confident in Zeke showing up than I do Melvin Gordon, and I don't know why. I think part of it is me buying into this. They made him an offer to be the 2nd highest paid. I mean, who wants to be the fucking 2nd highest paid guy, right? Everyone wants to be number 1.
I would.
Well, yes, you and I would love to, Vinny, but
why not?
He wants to be number 1. He wants to be recognized as the best and paid as the best. But I think if they're making that offer, that within the first few games, I think they come to terms, and I think he's there if they don't find that common ground pretty quickly. I don't know that the Chargers ever get there at Melvin Gordon. And maybe behind the scenes, there's obviously things going on we don't know. But I do believe Zeke shows up. I don't know why. It's just in my soul.
Obviously, how the first few games play out for like the Chargers and the Cowboys really will,
no question,
let you. Yeah, if they're both going 3-0, obviously, they're going to have less inclination to sign. Sure. So it's going to shake things up a lot. But like again, you have the 4th pick. You're comfortable taking Zeke? Like I am, like not at all.
No, I won't take Zeke at 4. I mean, I think I honestly would probably bite on Zeke on the swing. Like if I went the back end of the first round and he was my 2nd round pick, I think I'd roll the dice on Zeke.
See, that's the thing. I haven't seen him even leave mocks that late. Like he's still going.
I agree. He's on my board. He's just way outpriced because I'll never see him there. But that's where I'm comfortable. Even if I was at the tail end of the first round and I was really like, I don't know, maybe I'm at 11. I don't think he'll sneak back on 12. I'll take him at 11. Because I do believe he shows up, but I haven't seen him get anywhere that far. You look at his ADP and he's sitting at 4. I can't really imagine there's a ton of drafts where he's going much later.
So crazy. It's just so crazy.
111 is the low here according to Fantasy Football Calculator, and that's out of the last 643 times he was drafted. So literally no one has let him outside the first round.
All right. It's just, man, like we just saw this last year with Bell, and you're just kind of doing the same thing. I don't know. I just can't see Zeke giving in to just like signing something, and I don't know. The way he's acted the whole offseason tells me he's in for the long haul, whatever that may be.
Yes, of course. And dude, it's weird because Melvin Gordon, I think, is off my board in the sense that I'll never even get a chance to draft him. Just again, because I'm not comfortable that he ever does show up. So it's weird because they're both in similar situations. I just have such opposite outlooks, I think, on the two of them. But that's why they pay us the big bucks. So, Vinny, another guy I want to talk about, and this is hits home for you, I know. AJ Green. We hear today coming out from the Athletic that AJ Green returning for Week 3 is the best case scenario. Where he's going right now, do you think that fits? Talking about essentially a Week 4 return, or are we just because I'm watching him at pick 7 in the 5th round, Tyler Boyd going at pick 5 in the 5th round. They're essentially flip flopped. What are your thoughts on this whole situation here?
I would be terrified to draft AJ Green because he's been known to, kind of, work through his rehab pretty quickly and then come back, and then it's the same injury again and he's out for the rest of the season. He's done it like the last couple times he's been injured. So I would be terrified. And in the league I had with Man Rodgers, our dear friend Donnie also drafted AJ Green, was, not ready to do so, but he thought it was too good of a value. And then we wake up the next day. He's like, dude, I'm fucking terrified. And I'm like, you probably should be, man. I would be scared too. That's why I kind of stayed away. And he went later than the fifth round. And if you're looking at 12 team, he was probably going in like, I think it was somewhere in the middle of the 6th or late 7th. And even then, like you look at it, it's just like, I can't let him. Like getting AJ Green that late is great, but best case scenario, like 3rd week, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't come back to like week 6, possibly halfway through the season. I think the Bengals have an early bye. Don't quote me on that, but that could put a lot of things into play. Actually, they have bye week 9. So, dude, even like, why would they rush him back if his thing doesn't go well and it's week 6? Like they might just wait until week 10, depending on the Bengals probably aren't going to be in any playoff.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Just to see what they do with him is a little rough. And if he's rushing back, to be back for week 4 and active, you're obviously playing him, but I did that last year and I played him. He got like 1 point, blew up his foot again and left. So I am downright terrified to draft him. In many ways, he's off my board too, in the Melvin Gordon sense. Like he can get as low as he wants. I still don't even know if I'd play.
Like you said, it's just scary. Like Donnie woke up and was like, oh, she's like, what have I done? Almost like that immediate, like, holy shit, regret.
I think he was really excited to do it and he did it. And then I audibly just went like, shit. And he was just like, okay, resident Bengal fan doing that is not a good sign.
I did another draft on Friday night and, it's with one of the guys I work with, and then his longtime league. And they had someone leave last year, and they invited me in, and have been very gracious in it. But it's one of those where, you go up and you put a pick on the board, and you feel so confident, and then everyone else in the room is just like, and you're like, shit, like, it immediately makes you kind of just like, you're like, oh, what did I just do? You felt so good, and all of a sudden you're like, maybe that was a mistake. Maybe I'm getting too smart for myself here. Not a good feeling.
Yep.
Not a good feeling.
No.
But the live draft feeling is something we recommend to everybody out there. Something you guys should all be doing at least once or twice.
Yeah, things feel more consequential and real when there's people around, not just clicking a button.
Yeah,
you don't get like, the feel
of the room. You have to take
the
time to actually. You're putting the stickers up. You're talking through things. People get pissed because you take too long on your picks or whatever. But it's the whole experience, and it kind of drives your nerves up a little bit because I feel like I don't sweat if I'm taking an online draft. I'm not sweating about like, oh, my guy is 5 picks away on the general ADP. Like, am I going to get him? Versus like I'm sitting in a room and I'm like, I know Walsh is fucking thinking about it. I know he's going to fucking do it. And I'm just watching him, and he's fucking, twirling his hair around and pick it like, and then he goes up and he puts a sticker on the board, and sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. But that anxiety doesn't exist in the online world because it can't. And I think there's nothing like it, especially when a plan comes together. A guy slides to you, or things just work out, quite frankly.
Yeah. It's great when it clicks, and it's, your heart races when it doesn't, and you got to panic and do different things.
Oh, yeah. There's nothing like the panic
hell.
when your guy goes and you're like, I am so – like that. Like I did when Josh Jacobs went, and I'm like, holy shit. My running backs are literally going to be – I might as well just not even start a running back this year. Kenyon Drake, number 1, step on up. Yeah, I know. I thankfully not the case, but you never know. I guess, Vinny, you want to talk about the elephant in the room and the Colts and Andrew Luck here? So Andrew Luck, guys, as you all know, has retired, to focus on himself and his family and everything else. And we wish him well. We had talked about it before the podcast. We expect a possible Andrew Luck return at some point in the future. Not this season, but down the road, it wouldn't shock us to see him back on the football field. Right, Vin?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe he gets healthy, takes a year off, possibly comes back. It's the way he sounded. Like, he definitely didn't want to, but he had to just for himself. So that's where I really felt bad. And I was just like, oh, geez, this is like something serious. And if he doesn't come back, I also would be, not shocked. But it'd be great to see him back. And
the door does definitely remain open a little bit for him. So Vinny, it almost feels like we have to preview the Indianapolis Colts all over, right? Because here we are, and let's start at the top as we always do. Jacoby Brissett comes back, was not exactly something to be super excited about back in 2017 when he filled in for Andrew Luck. 13 touchdown passes in 15 starts, 3,000 passing yards. He also led the NFL in time sacked. So that was pretty much what you got from Brissett. But I think he's going to be just fine. He's not Andrew Luck, but he'll be okay leading these Indianapolis Colts. But it's a hit. It's a downgrade. There's no question.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Brissett isn't fucking Andrew Luck, but also the upcoming 2019
Correct.
Colts are not the 2017 Colts where they just emergency added, Brissett and, threw him into a horrible situation. They still had that awful offensive line. It's much better now. The system is way different with Frank Reich. Like, it is just hands down a way better situation. I still have a lot of faith that Ty will probably be fine. I think Mack still has his regular value where it's still coasting at. It's just they're just taking that hit because Andrew Luck is gone. So, I mean, they should, because their upsides are definitely limited now. But now they just become values, and I think they're still all, studs in their own respect. To where
let's start at the wide receiver. I mean, T.Y. Hilton, obviously, deep threat, the speed. I think he stays a wide receiver too. Maybe he slides down to the lower end of wide receiver too. But I don't think he falls out of that conversation. But he is dropping like essentially off a fantasy cliff in ADP. Vinny, he went from Sunday. He was the 6th pick in the 3rd round. He is down to the 11th pick in the 4th round. So that's almost 16 to 18 picks in a matter of 48 hours.
Like it's very reactionary. Like, would you, if you're sitting in that 4th round or 5th round, depending on like how big your league is, like, are you really going to take Kenny Golladay over T.Y. Hilton?
Yep.
Probably not. Like, I'd rather have T.Y. Hilton.
Oh,
that
100%.
upside is just, the target share is probably still going to be there. They can build a rapport. So, I feel like at some point enough is enough, and just like realize like we're taking the hit that Andrew Luck is gone, and everyone's reacting to it in this way. So everyone's dropping off a cliff. I feel like it might settle out by the weekend if you ever draft this weekend. I still think just keep your head focused and realize that these guys are still good, and they still have a good offense, a decent team, and they're going to do
T.Y.
good things for your
he's going to be just fine. Like
well.
you said, the volume's there. He's, especially if you're playing in a half point, full point PPR, whatever, the target's going to be there. Don't go into panic mode. I see people tweeting out like, well, what should I be trying to trade T.Y. Hilton for? Or, like he's going to be just fine. Like, sure, if you drafted him on Friday, he's worth less, understandably. But I don't think you need to go out in panic mode. And, right. Look, if you drafted him as your number 1 wide receiver anyway, you were in trouble to begin with. So, no.
Right. And don't take low ball offers either. Like at this time, like this is going to be the lowest his value is. He's going to have a couple good games, and you're sitting there just like, all right, this is fine. You don't even need to worry about it.
Yeah, I think just you ride the wave. I mean, hey, if you're a buy low, sell high kind of guy, and you know someone who's panicked and want to make an offer for Ty, fucking lowball some people and see what you can get. I mean, some leagues there are plenty of people who will panic and just fucking do it, but don't sell. There's no reason to. The other pass catchers, Vinny, Eric Ebron, and Jack Doyle. At tight end, I don't think I really cared about them totally to begin with. So I was kind of out on them.
Yeah, I could agree with that. It's Jack Doyle did have a good year with Brissett. Although, Ebron is now there, so it's a little different. And they both have different upsides. Like I feel like Jack Doyle is more of a PPR kind of dude. And then obviously Ebron with the touchdown. So they're definitely lower for me. I think they take the biggest hit for me because the offense won't be as prolific and less touchdowns. So I'm going to take both these guys down.
Yeah. You have to. And again, guys, at this point in the fucking tight end wheel, we've talked about it. Go spin the wheel. Like you don't need to go out and draft Eric Ebron. Actually, I would be interested to see how far he has also fallen. He really hasn't dropped. He's dropped 4 picks. He's gone from the 12th pick in the 7th round, which was still crazy, to the 4th pick in the 8th round. Again,
right.
we're always negative on tight ends anyway, but he hasn't really seen a ton of decline in his ADP at this point. So that is what it is. But yeah, whatever. As far as the rest of the team goes, Vinny, running game, Marlon Mack. I mean, maybe he runs a little bit more. I think his value stays pretty flat here on this team.
Yeah, I tried to, kind of rack my brain a little bit about it, and it's just I can't really change anything. Like if they're playing well, Mack's definitely going to be more involved. If they're not, maybe Hines sees a couple more snaps, but I still think Mack is their main guy. They're going to feed him and probably still be a big feature part of the offense. And if this happened in your draft, like if you draft that you had this weekend was this coming weekend, Schreck, you probably could have gotten Marlon Mack instead of fucking who'd you get, Singletary? Yeah, like you could have possibly had Marlon Mack.
I want David Montgomery.
David Montgomery?
Let's see. I'm trying to see. No, you're okay. You're okay.
Sorry.
I mean, it's all they're all fucking.
I mixed those two up. I don't know why.
I'm trying to think. Where did Marlon Mack go? Marlon Mack was 1, 2, 3. He was a 3rd round pick. So it ended up Marlon Mack, and then it was Leonard Fournette, Kittle, Chris Carson, and I got Keenan Allen. So. He probably would have dropped. I mean, ADP, we're seeing him. He goes from the 2nd pick in the 4th round down to the 10th pick in the 4th round, which I think is just a value for the guys sitting at the end of the 4th round. I think he's fine there. I think his price is right, particularly if you stack your wide receivers. And at that point, he could end up as your running back 2, 1, depending on how you go. Yeah.
At a great value. So I'm really just viewing the Colts right now as just like really sneaky good. So if people are letting them slide in any drafts that are coming up for you this week and the weekend.
Yeah, like we've talked about, it becomes that
trigger.
recency bias, right? Where everyone's in full panic mode. And it's not necessary. I get it. We were all shocked. We all couldn't believe it. But at the end of the day, that for the most part, T.Y. Hilton, Marlon Mack stay. Eric Ebron and Jack Doyle, you just let them kind of float off into the distance. And that's really it. You're not drafting Jacoby Brissett as a fantasy QB, but he'll be fine for the offense.
Yeah, definitely. Very serviceable.
100%. What? So that's kind of it, guys. A quick Colts fantasy preview here as we talk draft day. But what else you got, Vinny, on news or guys you're seeing on boards that just, quite frankly, don't make sense to you?
So I've just seen a lot of it was expected, but like a lot of volatility with the early running backs. Like round 1 and round 2 are just like I've never seen them the same in any draft so far. I've seen Le'Veon Bell go 4. I've seen Le'Veon Bell go in the second round. I've seen Todd Gurley go pick 5, pick 4. I've seen Todd Gurley in the third round. Like I'm having such a hard time, and that's why we always talk about like the flow of the draft. Like you got to roll with shit. If that's happening, you got to roll with it, because if you're not prepared, every draft is different, and you can prepare for we're about to do our 10th league anniversary thing, and like we all know each other very well. I don't know what the fuck is going to happen at all in this draft. It is by far the craziest, I think, to this day. Anyone can go in any ADP, especially with the holdouts and stuff. And just, I think I've seen the most volatility with the running backs and the order that they go, because you need an early pass catching running back, but also the value of getting like Hopkins or Adams or Julio early. You can't even pass it up. So every first round and second round really shapes the draft. And every time I've done it.
I'm with you, man. I mean, that's how this draft on Saturday went. I mean, number 1 overall went Alvin Kamara. Saquon went 2. Zeke went 3. McCaffrey fell to 4, which is to me a fucking steal and a half.
Who got that?
Chris?
Who got McCaffrey at 4?
I don't know whose team this is. Big Tasty, whoever that was.
Lucky them, dude. That's
a great
crazy.
Value. Le'Veon Bell goes 5. Todd Gurley goes 6.
Yeah, see
DeAndre
what I mean?
Hopkins
like,
at 7, James Conner
that.
at 8, Michael Thomas at 9, David Johnson at 10. He's also a guy, David Johnson, that I've seen all over the fucking map. I've seen him.
It has a lot to do with Zeke too.
He's been up, he's been down. I can't put a pulse on David Johnson, and it's really just knowing your league and knowing who's in on the Cardinals. If you listen to the last podcast, Walsh talks about where he doesn't really know where he stands on the Cardinals at this point.
I feel like no one can know right now because they didn't perform well in the preseason. And I know we put you try not to care about the preseason, but it's better. It's better to perform well than, not at all. And we really haven't seen much of the Cardinals. And I don't buy the bullshit that they're hiding their offense or like protecting their game plan. Like, shut the fuck up. There's no possible way you're doing that.
No, you're not as bad as you're playing right now. There's absolutely no way.
No. But yeah, they are just the running backs, man, are all over the place. And that truly affects where a lot of those high, like you got Devontae Adams, pick 11? That's absurd.
So pumped.
Yeah. Like someone definitely settled on like David Johnson or Bell, even though they may not have wanted to. And then, it just kind of creates the avalanche.
Have you done, any mocks or, obviously we have draft coming up, so you're obviously not going to relay some stuff. But as we look at some mocks and everything else, have you looked at the Travis Kelce tight end at round 2, and how your team kind of plays out, or have you not really touched that route this year?
Oh, dude, I've done it more than I have in my entire life. Like I hate early tight end, and I've been fucking with the Kelce builds. If we're making like a Skyrim character here, I'm seeing like it's rough when you go first round, really running back, wide receiver. If you take either one, which you're definitely going to, you get tight end. Kelce comes back to you in the second round. Hopefully, it's tough to settle on the next position, and also that position could be totally sapped, as we've seen with a lot of our strategies. Like these ADPs don't mean jack shit when you're in a draft. Guys go, guys don't. Like you can't control shit. So like mocks are good just to see what you're comfortable with taking, not so much for predicting. So keep that in mind. And I don't know. I've seen that every time I have a Kelsey team, it's my starters are ridiculous, and then my bench is dog shit. And then I'm always someone that likes to have a deeper bench than necessary because it's a long season. I like some flyers in there. I like some guys like
100%.
that are just my guys that I want. And I feel like with the Kelsey team, I have less like wiggle room for that. So if he falls to you, it's great, but just be prepared to sacrifice in a lot of different spots that maybe you're not necessarily prepared to. So make sure that's what you want. Obviously, Kelsey's like basically having a wide receiver one, but you're giving up top 10 running backs, top 10 wide receivers when you take
which
Kelsey.
drops off quickly, as we've talked about. With some of these guys that the world of fantasy running backs and wide receivers gets ugly very, very fast. I really think I want to wrap up the podcast tonight, Vinny, with just who is one guy that you're targeting towards the end of drafts here? And obviously, we're both in a draft together, but so just a guy, a sleeper, and it doesn't have to be somebody that's off the map because there's plenty of articles out there with a lot of these same name guys. Is there anybody that you recommend or someone that you're looking to get? Walsh said on the last podcast, Tony Pollard is someone that I'm watching him. He's also actually someone that now that I say the name, I'm watching all over fucking drafts.
Yeah, I'm a little scared of him because he could go. He's doing the seventh.
He went in. I think the seventh in one of my drafts, and the hype's real. Again, if Zeke doesn't show behind that line, you're fucking pumped. So it's risk reward. It's like the Austin Eckler world, except Austin Eckler should hold some value either way. The Tony Pollard thing has gotten a little crazy.
Yeah, that's what sucks with Pollard. It doesn't really hold, like you said, it doesn't hold as well as Eckler would because Eckler has standalone value. I feel like Pollard does not because we haven't seen anything. We haven't seen their offense. And if Zeke is in there, that dude's getting 20-plus touches. Like, fuck off to everyone else there.
100%.
An ex-Cowboy I'm actually targeting is actually Cole Beasley. I thought I could have taken him in our recent draft. I thought more people would be taking flyers and stuff, and I didn't really have to, but I can pick him up on the waiver now. I just like the new Bills offense and what we've seen. Like Cole Beasley was a ton of catches, ton of opportunities. So if he's your last pick or like your last position player pick, like you could do a lot worse. Like I took Willie Snead in one instead of Cole Beasley, just to sort of get like somebody who's got the opportunity, target volume, potential. So it's not, it's not going to be like I don't really see like Willie Snead or Cole Beasley getting 25 points, but like if I need him on a bye week early, that dude can be like a 12 spot or,
they could turn.
Yeah. So
that's it. You're happy with a 12 spot if you got to flip somebody.
Yeah, exactly. He's been one of my weirder ones that I've kind of liked to check out. What about you?
Okay. I mean, for me, the guy that I have on all of my teams so far this year, and he's not super cheap, but I mean, he's the 7th pick in the 11th round right now. Anthony Miller, the wide receiver for the Chicago Bears. That's the thing here. I mean, he's returned to practice, which is super nice. He missed 2 weeks with the ankle sprain. We'll see if he's ready to go week one. They're easing him back, but scored 7 touchdowns on limited targets last year. I think he's a nice stash and wait and see what can happen. But I think for the price, the turnover for him or the return on your investment could be huge if it goes the way I think.
Definitely. I think Walsh got a lot of playable weeks out of him last year too. So, or was that Joe? That might have been Joe. Either way, still serviceable.
Either way,
a lot of injury help and bye week help, which we forget it's a long fucking season. So put a little bit of work into the end of your draft thinking about those things instead of upside, or maybe not upside, more like where can this guy help me with a plug and play instead.
Yeah, because you have to think about like you talked about with the guys where your bench depth is crap if you're going with your tight end, and all those things matter. the long term, the thinking about the guys you might be able to plug in or the guys that are going to pop for you. Those things, they make a difference. So you got to think about those guys. And when you mock, try and get through drafts. Don't do this through round 5 crap and then bail out of mock drafts. I know people like to do it, but
annoying.
You don't get, it's annoying, 1, and 2, you don't get a feel. You see all these other guys on ADPs, but until you're watching them come off the board, even if a lot of them are computer picks, again, it's being in that moment, looking at your team as it's constructed as you come down. You don't want to be doing that for the first time on draft day. So try and play your drafts through and at least do 1 or 2 all the way through. If you're going to bail on some others, that's fine. But get comfortable. If you haven't had your draft already, it's got to be soon. And as we always say, get mocking.
Oh,
But I think that's about it, Vinny. I mean, we're going to try and bounce back tomorrow with Walsh for the Wednesday episode as we try and take draft week into full swing. Maybe we'll throw a live episode together on Thursday for the people on a Friday release. And it's now or never, guys. It's put up or shut up. It is the best time of the year. It is fantasy draft week. So I hope you guys are prepped and ready to rock and roll.
I am so fucking pumped. Like, I cannot wait.
Dude, can't beat it, man. We'll be in San Fran drafting, fucking having the time of our lives. And we hope you guys are doing fun things. You don't have to be traveling to do it, guys. Get together with your friends, your leagues, whatever you got to do. Even if it's online, get a online video chat going or something. This is what memories are made of. And we're pumped. We're going into year 10. And a shout out to Chase. We're going to have a good time for you here, bud.
Let the bachelor party commence. Just a bunch of losers having
fun.
There
it is. Bachelor party and draft weekend sounds like the ultimate combo to me. But Vinny, do you have anything else for the people?
Nah, man. Good luck. If you already have your team, send them in. We'll check them out. Give criticism. I know we had a rough one today where Walsh really liked it and I really hated the team. So everyone's opinion matters, I guess, because you draft your team, you're inclined to like it pretty much. It takes a lot of pride, or you got to swallow a lot of pride to say, "Oh, I've really fucked this draft up." Because really, you take the guys you want, and then you're just like, "Sweet, I have my players." But without outside influence and other opinions, you might not even know that you have glaring holes, or this guy's not as good as you think he is, or will perform at that level. So we'll check him out, let you know our half-assed opinions and shit like that. So send them on in.
We'll give you the truth, guys. Send them in. Vinny is not afraid to upset you or tell you exactly what you need to hear, because reality sucks sometimes, and sometimes it's great. But odds are you'll get someone to come to your defense a little bit. But guys, get mocking for Vinny for Let's Talk Fantasy Football. I am Nick Schreck. We will catch you on the flip side.
This has been Let's Talk Fantasy Football. Thanks for listening.